This is my Sony A6300, which I bought used, and I use it mostly for wildlife photography, and I've been pretty happy with it. It's a good camera, I do recommend it. Now, I hooked it up to my telescope, and I started seeing when I was shooting flash that, hey, there's a lot of dirt in the optical path somewhere. And so I wasn't sure if it was in the telescope or in the camera, and so I tried a few different zoom settings with teleconverters and Barlows, and I noticed that the dirt wasn't moving around, it wasn't going in and out. And that means it's on the imaging sensor of the camera. So I'm going to walk you through how I cleaned my imaging sensor. Now the first step is built into the camera. If you go into the menuing system by pushing the menu button and you move all the way over to the right to the toolbox, item number 3, 3 down, there's a thing called cleaning mode. And my understanding is this cleaning mode vibrates the sensor and vibrates dirt off or dust off that's not stuck to it. So you point the camera down, you push the OK button, it says, hey, perform auto image sensor cleaning, you press enter, and it cleans it. And after that, it says turn the power off. You can also clean the sensor manually if necessary, follow the instructions, blah, blah, blah. So I did that, and the dust and dirt on my particular camera lens, or my particular sensor, did not come off with the ultrasonic cleaning. So then I moved on to the next stage, and I'm using here a blowing tool. You never want to blow with your mouth because you have all kinds of icky stuff in your mouth and you get spit and all that stuff on there. So you use one of these tools. When you do this, you want to hold the camera facing mostly down so that anything you blow off will fall. And you just move around here being very careful not to get the tip anywhere near the actual sensor because you don't want to poke it. And you move around and blow that thing off. And then we take a look at that. So looking at this in the microscope, blowing got rid of the big stuff. It got rid of that long little stringy thing, which I think was maybe a piece of lint. I think it's a little too small to be an eyelash. And it got rid of a lot of the big chunks of dust. However, there's still some dust visible on the CMOS sensor. After blowing this thing off, much better. Took some flats, I could barely find any spots at all. So looking at it with the microscope, you can see there's some spots here and there, but it's a lot better. The big lint thing was gone, so all of the big stuff has been blown off. However, if you look closely in some of the flats, there's just a couple of dots here and there. And that might not be an issue for you. If you're just taking normal photographs with this, you probably don't care. With astrophotography, I'm going to try to get rid of that. But at this point, I would recommend you'd probably just leave it there. But if not, if you want to take it to the next level, you get these guys. They came as the same part of the kit that I got the air blower with. And it's designed specifically for my sensor size. It's APS-C, the crop sensor, 16mm. And essentially it's a sterile, vacuum-packed swab that you can use to swab the sensor. You kind of put it down at about a 60-degree angle, you wipe across one way, you use the other side, you wipe across the other way, and then you throw it out. Now you can also dampen one side with their special cleaning agent. If you're trying to get rid of dust, there's no need to do that. I have on my sensor a couple of spots that look like liquid. Maybe somebody blew in the sensor, a little bit of spit hit and then dried. So I'm going to use just a little half a spray of this kind of through the air on one side. I'm going to wipe it with that, and then I'm going to wipe it with the other side, and hopefully that'll dry it. If that doesn't dry it, I'm going to use a second one of these to wipe it a second time to really dry it off. So after I used the swabs to wipe this guy off. I looked at it again under the microscope. It looked to me like there was a lot less dust, at least in the center area. Now near the edges where the swab stops and starts, there was still dust around those edges, but that's going to be outside your frame for the most part, so you don't really matter. I did have an oh panic moment when I put this thing back on the telescope and shot a little flat because it had this giant crack. It turned out just to be a hair. Apparently while I was looking under the microscope, a hair fell on it. So I was able to blow that out just fine. So in summary, this guy here is your most bang for your buck. I got most of my big things out of there with that. There were a few dust spots left after this. I used the wipe. It got rid of some of them and it left some of the others. I'm not going to go in and scrub this sensor. I feel this is good enough for me. So I think, if you're looking for best bang for the buck, just buy one of these. But these swabs did seem to get rid of some dust, or at least push it to the edges of the sensor. So, if you're really looking for better, you can try with the swabs as well. But at some point, you're going to have to accept just a little bit of dust on the sensor. And if it's super small, unless you're doing something like I am, where you're shooting a flat to try to detect it, you're never going to detect that visibly. So I bought this kit. It came with the spray and the microfibers and a couple of camel hair brushes and the all-important squishy thing here. And it's a kit. I've been pretty happy with it, so I do recommend this. I'll put a link in the description.